Does it sometimes feel like you have a high-paying job rather than a profitable, scalable business? Well, if so, don't stress. That's very common in our profession, but we're masters at helping chiropractors and health professionals scale 7-figure and 8-figure brands. And if you're ready for that, let's go. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the 3 different kinds of leaders and help you identify which one you are. You're going to see the exact framework that you need to build for scalability, and then I'm going to help you build your leadership team. That's all in today's action-packed video, and stay to the end because then I'm going to show you how we're going to support you in accelerating this to become reality. If you're really serious about building a business instead of a job, right, a job, this is something where when you leave the practice, it shuts down, no more cash flow. I want to help you transform that into a business, and that means it's operating with or without you. That's where the value comes. But there's 3 hats that you're probably wearing, and along that journey, you really need to go into some self-discovery. In fact, when I went through this with some of Tony Robbins' work, I really began to understand the mindset of the 3 leaders. And the first one is what we call the visionary. This is the person, the mindset that's very good at seeing the path, seeing where the practice is going to grow into. They also are really good at financially road mapping how to get there. The next leader is what we call the organizer. This is the mindset that's really good at organizing the practice, making sure that we have an organizational chart, that we have clear roles and duties, that we have processes in place. This is the organizer. The third piece is the expander, and that leader expander is of the mindset of how to now take a good system and stretch it beyond its capacity, how to reinforce that, how to remove roadblocks, how to increase flow. And you're probably wearing all 3 of those hats right now. That's really hard to build a scalable business by yourself. And so before you begin hiring, before you begin building a team, you have to identify who you are. What is your superpower? What is your natural gifts? How do they lean? And there are many ways to actually identify that. There's personality tests like the DISC profile or the Myers-Briggs, where you're able to see what are my natural gifts, what do I lean towards? And if you can identify that, then you know how to fill in your gaps. We don't want to hire more of you. We already have you. We want to build the team around you to fill those gaps. And that is my first challenge in this process, is to know thyself. If you can master that, then we can get on to building a team. All right, before we go into step number 2, I want you to snap, crackle, pop that like button. Come on, show me some love. I'm building this content for you. I want to support you in building that practice of your dreams. So turn on the notifications bell. Make sure you don't miss a single great episode as we continue to bring you 2 decades of information compressed for you to accelerate your path to success. All right, step number 2 in building out your organization starts now with writing what we call your S.O.Ps. These are your standard operating procedures. Now, this is difficult when you're wearing all 3 hats of the leadership hat. You've got to break these down. You really have a hard time getting into this without help, without team. This is typically the role of the organizer. The organizer actually loves writing these, but you can actually have your team begin helping you write these. An S.O.P manual is recommended for each position. In fact, this is why we built the 6 keys. The 6 keys in the evolution program are done for you S.O.P manuals, which is incredible. But the process of writing S.O.Ps is identifying what is the end goal of this process. And these processes have to be known and followed by all. So by building this into a documentation, this is really nicely done in Google Docs. You can use really cool software like Trainual, but you want to have your training manuals so that when a team member comes in to fill a role, they have a reference guide, that they are trained, a checklist, a place where they can go and make sure that they're actually doing it the exact way that you want it done. And then the cool thing about that is we tie that back to the data of that position. So by connecting the S.O.P to a metric, a training manual to a KPI, then it's really easy to build the bonus system so that when they are crushing your S.O.Ps, we actually get to reward them. We get to celebrate with them. They get immediate feedback to know that they're winning. And that's step number 2 in building out the framework for your scalable, profitable practice. Now, I know writing SOPs isn't like a walk in the park, so come join a community who can support you, who can help you follow the steps of how to do best practices in this. And we built that community called the Data-Driven Practice. It's a free group on our Facebook channel. Just search the Data-Driven Practice. I will see you on the inside of that group. Now, along the way of your success leads us to number 3, and that is really building out your leadership team. We talked about the 3 leaders and how to start filling in your gaps. Most of our doctorpreneurs are filling the role of the CEO. They're filling the role of the visionary. And so you've got to bring in these other 2 leadership members. Now, typically, the first one that you bring in is an office manager. And if you're like most practices, you're going to train them up from your troops. But recognize that this isn't just the most qualified team member that you have in your practice, the one that knows the most. That does not always make the best office manager. We actually want an office manager with training, with HR background. In fact, when we look at the big 5 roles of the office manager, many of those are around building your team, actually hiring the proper skill sets for each position, helping them onboard, doing performance reviews, making sure that the org chart is up to date, running team meeting. Like, these are things that take very specific skill sets. And I want to make sure that you're hiring an A player to do that, to fill in that gap, to take off your plate the things that you don't really love doing. The next piece of your leadership team is typically a production manager. A production manager is a role that usually fits really well with like an associate doctor. As an associate doctor comes into this role, we want them to be of a mindset, and if it doesn't fit the associate doctor's gifts, then it sometimes can come from like a rehab lead. This is the mindset where they love expanding processes. It's the processes in your practice. So if office manager is people, the production manager is processes. They are looking for things daily that they can remove from your processes to accelerate flow, to make sure patients are coming through flow quickly, to make sure we're getting the outcomes. They're quality checking by watching the progress exams, to making sure that patients are progressing the way that they're supposed to. We're getting the outcomes that we promised those patients, that we're actually hitting our metrics and our KPIs, and that we're expanding, that things are trajectorying upward in the data, and that's why we're a data-driven practice. These 3 key roles meet together monthly. We have a monthly admin meeting that we give you the framework in our Profit Accelerator system. In the Profit Accelerator system, you'll learn how to put all of these pieces together and accelerate the profits of your practice. That leadership team, now as they organize, they help you, they take so much off your plate. And this is how you get more done, by making sure you're only spending the time that your gifts are suited for. That's when we feel like we're in flow, right? We're happy, we're joyful showing up to the practice, because we're spending our time doing the things that we love to do, and you're delegating the things that aren't your natural gifts to those who it is their natural gift. I mean, can you believe that there's things that you don't like doing that other people geek out over? Like, that's what you're doing. You're building the team. You're filling in your gaps to build that leadership team, and that is the fundamentals of building 7- and 8-figure brands. If this is the kind of stuff you're ready to be a part of, you've got to join our 10-day challenge. This is an opportunity to come join with us for free, sample marketing our stuff, our transformation. In 10 days, you will see transformation. You'll see the numbers you should be tracking. You'll identify how to get organic leads, how to fill your workshops, and how to crush your 6-figure months. Click the link below. I cannot wait to see you in the Turn Your Data into Dollars challenge.